things. But what we recorded, especially in the area of security, is something that we have never seen in Nigeria since the resurgence of Boko Haram in 2019. Almost all the regions of the country have some level of stability. Now, we have 75 strong bandits in Nigeria prior to the takeover of this government. Today, we have only 3 alive. Almost all the major ones have been eliminated, especially in the northwest. In the northeast, Boko Haram is simply happening in paper. You hardly even hear any news again about Boko Haram because they are completely content.
But there's still a concern in the north central, especially Plateau State.
Now,
it's recurring.
Yes, when you look at the Plateau and Benue case, it's actually majorly ethnic issue. And it's an inter-ethnic rivalry.
Well, they will disagree with you on that because, they also say that there are evidence to show that, a lot of these attackers come from outside the state to cause mayhem within these communities and then leave. Even we've had this kind of, comments from top military officers confirming that these issues are not communal clashes and they're not an inter-ethnic or intra-ethnic rivalry.
I don't agree completely. Why? Because even the president was in Benue. And if you look at his statements clearly, was warning the political actors to get their acts together. Because the problem that has been happening in Benue case, for instance, has been happening for long between the Jukun, the thieves, and the Idomas. And then there is a political tension between the 2 mega political actors in the state, the governor and the SGF. And this thing is mostly egotistical because the current governor used to be the pastor of the SGF. And now that the current governor came into the politics, he is supposed to submit to the political authority of his state. But the current governor felt like, since I was your pastor, I should continue to shepherd you. And this
that's politics. That's politics. So we're talking about insecurity now.
That's what it is. In fact, majority of the insecurities we have in Nigeria have 1 or 2 things to do with politics. Because the politicians, especially when you look at the opposition narrative, they always point to insecurity. Because the insecurity give them cash out. The insecurity give them credibility. So the more the insecurity, the better they are. Meanwhile, the insecurity, some of them, especially in the North Central, are completely inter-ethnic political issue. But when you come to the Northeast or Northwest, all those areas where the major insecurity are now eliminated, you can travel now freely from Kaduna to Abuja, from Abuja to Lokoja without a single attack. Today, when you go to Southeast, for instance, where is Simon Ekpa? Where is Biafra government in exile? When last did we hear any attack on police station or any state institutions? It's gone. Because Madam Nuhu Ribadu, the National Security Advisor, is doing a very exceedingly well in that front. If you go to Niger Delta, by the time we took over this government, we had, I think, as at that time, our production level of crude oil was between 900 to 1.1 million barrels. 900,000 to 1.1 million barrels. Now we are heading to 1.7 million barrels. Now again, there is an area where it's been locked out for 30 years. That's the Ogoni land. Now Ogoni land we are in, this government is able to enter Ogoni land, conciliate the challenges, and allow drilling activity to come, thereby contributing nearly 1 million barrels to our production. Meaning, if care is not taken, we are going to hit 3 million barrels in just the next 2 years once the production starts. If you go to Southwest, of course, I think Amotekun is now rested because there is no much any attack.
Well, I agree with you, that some of these security challenges have been handled, and you're giving that credit to, the leadership of Malam Nuhu Ribadu in the security sector. But Nigerians are still very much concerned. When will he bring that leadership now to bear in the North Central, in Benue, and in Plateau? Just recently in Plateau State, in Riom, there was also an attack. We had the governor on television, even in a way accusing the military of complicity.
Yes, so that is actually the greatest insincerity. Because the military have given their lives, their resources, their time, their effort, their blood, and their sweat to security of this country. If somebody is going to blame them, that person is not altogether sincere. In fact, it is because the governor wants to escape responsibility of ethnicization of the crisis. That's why he's shifting blame. But the major crux of the issue is actually ethnic. And when it comes to ethnic issue, it has to do with indigenship And issues of indigenship are usually driven by state government. And a state governor is who is responsible for the indigens. So your responsibility is to organize them and bring them together so that you can have a harmony and peace in your state. But the situation whereby you fail in your responsibility, you are just shifting blame. How many military do we lose there? We lost a general in Plateau State where he was killed by ethnic militia and was thrown into a well. We know about that. So many military men lost their lives. So you can't blame the military.
And that they say is because of a distrust now, because these people see the military as not working in their interest, as not working to protect them. They have the military doing patrols and all of that, but still these attacks happen at night.
Just because the governor needs to.
And when the people defend themselves, they are then rounded up and arrested for bearing light arms or some kind of light weapons to defend themselves. But these attackers who come in with sophisticated weapons carry out this mayhem and even leave without anybody even arresting them.
I cannot remember any law in Nigeria that allows ordinary citizens to carry arms. We are yet to be there, right?
But then the authorities or the military authorities in that area have failed to defend the citizens.
No, I tell you, the military are doing their best. But you cannot defend somebody who wants to fight against himself. That is where the problem is. You are my neighbor, I am your neighbor. How can I have a military protection, me and you have a military protection? How many millions of people do we need to have for military protection? So there must be harmony. The governor have to organize his community to understand that peace, harmony, and togetherness is actually much more important than the crisis that is being inflamed. A situation whereby the governor is blaming outside, it means that he's inviting more mayhem to the state, and that contributes to lack of security. So that is actually wrong. The military have done their best. When it comes to the security front, I think this country has done a very fantastic job, to be very, very candid with you. And if you come to the economy, we also did a very good job. All countries that develop, if you look at China, today that we celebrate, you look at Indonesia, most recently is rising. When you look at Malaysia, when you look at Singapore, that we used to give references to, what you do to develop a third world economy is to centralize resources, to concentrate centralization of the resources. This government have done a very good job by removing subsidy. By removing subsidy, we have a lot of pool of cash at the center, number one. Number two, we have done a very exciting tax reform that further centralizes the resources around Nigerian Revenue Service. Now, if we continue in this trajectory, it's likely that by the time we are hitting 2027, we may likely pass a budget of 150 trillion. The minimum a state can get in Nigeria is 2 trillion. That is how you develop the economy.
But how well do Nigerians understand, all of these achievements and successes, of this administration that you are just really now? Because the feedback you get from Nigerians on a daily basis is that things are hard. We are hungry. We do not have enough cash at hand. Our disposable income, our purchasing power is declining every day. That's the feedback you get.
That's very, very correct, because the people are disconnected from the governance. Sometimes I used to wonder, what are the cabinet ministers doing? Why is it that we don't carry people along? Why is it that the government doesn't blow its trumpet as it should do? That is actually where the concern is. There are visible, successful programs this government ran on renewed hope, and that hope is now coming, right? So before you get to consume hope, you must do some sacrifice. Now the sacrifices have been done, some regulations have been amended, some structures have been put in place where we begin to benefit. Meanwhile, the people are not carried along. They don't even know what's happening. The only thing they do is, I go out, the cost of transportation is high.
Is it about being carried along now, or they're not even feeling it? Are these achievements something that they can see, they can touch, they can feel?
You see, reform usually takes time. There must be bureaucracy. There must be navigation across the law, across the structures to enable the framework that will reach out to the common man. And this period will always experience a slowdown. There is nobody in Nigeria, including myself, that is not feeling the heat of the changes. But we understood where we are headed. Now, if people need to understand that there is a direction we are headed, and that direction will ultimately result in prosperity for all. But this kind of communication is no longer existing. People just feel like, if I go to buy tomato in the market, yesterday it was 5 naira, today is 15 naira, Tinubu government. Tinubu government, because they don't understand what Tinubu government is trying to do to make it easier for them going forward in the future. And that's where the issue is. So we need a lot of issues. We have a lot of fundamental disconnects. From the politics side, we have serious disconnect. From the party side, I pray that this mini convention that is going to, the next meeting that is going to take place on the 24th is going to bring about some balance, because as it is now, I don't see us like having a party, right? Because it's just scattered, you know. So again, we now also have, again, from the opposition side, cashing out massively, you know, on the anger and anguish and pain of ordinary people. And then we also have the biggest juggernaut in the north, who used to hold the base for us, who is no longer alive. It means we need to build a new trust metric. We need to recalibrate our strategy. We need to go back and build this trust. Else, the last election, we won, as I said, in the north with 5.5 million votes. The total victory was about 8.7 million votes, right? This is a minority victory, a 33% victory. Now, we have Peter Obi winning the south, you know, and then we now have President Tinubu winning the north, right? So, and don't forget, even after we won the north, we lost some of the stronghold of the APC. Yeah. We lost Katsina, we lost Kaduna, we lost Kano, we lost Yobe, and I think again one of the states of the north central, we lost Sokoto, right? We only won Zamfara and Jigawa state. Now, what is happening again now that people are feeling pain and they don't understand what's happening?
By the way you were speaking earlier, you know, I listened attentively, and you insinuated that the feedback the president is getting from the north is not correct, or is not reflective of the popularity of the government in that area. You talked about, you know, hypocrisy and sycophancy. Are you then saying that these big players in the APC from the north are not in tune, or are not connected, are no longer connected with the people, or they deliberately want to sabotage the APC administration and then take the votes elsewhere?
No, I don't think there's a need for sabotage. I don't think it's an issue of sabotage or effort of sabotage. You see, there are two political tendencies in Nigeria, especially between the north and the south, particularly southwest and the north. The southwest built its political machine on loyalty, right? While the north builds its political machine on trust. Now, they have to trust you. That is why you see Buhari doesn't give money. He has no money to give when he was alive. There is nothing like very seriously other than the fact that he's a clean man, and because of that they trusted him. So if you force them to do blind loyalty, they will resort to flattery and sycophancy. And the tendency for betrayal at the end of the day is very high.
And that's what is happening.
That is what is happening. So what you do is allow them to flow their politics as they used to do to build that trust network. Or bring people that have trust of the people that will go and continue to re-engineer this machine. People should understand. People should create trust. And if a northerner trusted you politically, they will, no matter the difficulty, they will understand. And that is why you see we had the recession during Buhari's first term, a lot of concern. In fact, the rise of banditry was so high. Completely, the government during the first time of Buhari was a scattered government. But then, people still trusted and gave him second term.
But you know, a lot of these politicians you may be referring to, you know, all of them also came to power or won election on the wave of that change, you know, that change mantra that brought the Buhari administration into office, that popular mandate the Buhari administration got. On their own, some people say a lot of them do not really have political capital or even political goodwill. They may not be able to get enough vote and support from the grassroots. They were just hiding under the shadows of President Buhari. And now, as President Buhari is gone, a lot of them have been exposed and may not necessarily be seen, or may not necessarily be able to deliver this vote anymore.
You are completely right. That's actually the picture, because most of them, if you check the history pre-Buhari, is practically empty. It is now post-Buhari that they are trying to package themselves as political leaders. And
so a lot of those ministers were now seen moving to the ADC, who claim that they are from the CPC bloc, you know, and they are Buharists. You are saying that, you know, they actually do not have that capacity to move votes to the APC.
At all. Their all target is that we want to cash out. We want to cash out from the current challenges, perceived challenges that Nigerians are facing. That's what they do. And they now package themselves, aligning with the same post-Buhari term, and then try to say how they can be able to get the chunk of Buhari vote. Some of them even aligning by saying that Buhari actually handed them responsibility to carry on with the political structures that he has. Why? Because he's no longer there. Nobody can validate that. So it means that we will also have to have our strategy to cash out. We have to increase our voting power. If we don't do that, we will leave it like that. And I'm telling you, it's going to be embarrassing for us. So the best solution is for us to look at these things in realistic terms. Not any politics. Sometimes you may not want to hear it if it is not good news for you. But it is a reality. It's the numbers that play. And a situation whereby we don't work assiduously to consolidate the base and increase our pool, we're having a challenge. And that is actually what I foresee for us.
You know, the ADC also said recently, you know, they criticized the administration of President Bola Tinubu over some appointments made recently that, you know, the APC is trying to win the support of the North with this kind of token appointment, especially that of Mohammed Babangida recently and some other Northerners. Do you see the North as seeing all of these appointments as sort of a compensation and meaning that they would have to give votes in return to the government?
What is APC's counter response to that? Because if an ordinary man picks this information, then what is a counter response, right? What are we saying to that effect? Now, you can't appoint someone today just by making phone call and say, I'm appointing you because of the realities. He has to pass through security clearance. He has to pass through different levels of investigation. He has to submit his CV. A lot of work must have been done. So maybe the process of appointing Mohammed Babangida must have started 6 months ago, right? It was just published recently. But then, this is what the ADC says. Now, what are we saying to counter this? What are our facts?
We have also seen the ADC's, the APC's response to the ADC statement, you know, criticizing the state's funeral and, you know, the expanded FEC meeting that was organized to honor President Buhari. You know, they say that it's like a whitewash of the APC's image, battered image, according to them.
Of course, it's a credit to APC. So you don't expect them to allow APC to take the credit. It's a very good credit. What the president did was a very good job, and that is why they are trying to maybe create another issue around it.
Thank you very much. We have to go now. Thank you so much for your time on the program. I sincerely appreciate. Well, that's it on the program. Today, you can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching. I am Femi Akonde. See you next time.